Hi, I'm going to tell you everything that I know about Elliot W. Eisner from my research project. Elliot Wayne Eisner was born in Chicago, Illinois in the year 1933. He was a promising young art student, and his mother expected him to make a career out of this, and he ended up graduating from the University of Chicago with a degree in both education as well as in visual arts. He then went on to teach a high school in Ohio for a couple of years before he became a professor at the University of Chicago himself. Later on, as he progressed, he eventually became a professor of art and education at Stanford University, after which he progressed even more and is currently the head professor of both of these subjects at Stanford. Why Elliot Eisner is so famous is because of his studies in curriculum. He believed that learning should be an active experience. It should not be something that you sit your students down and you lecture them constantly. He believed that the more non-verbal lessons that you could implement into your curriculum, the more your students would retain the information which you were presenting to them, because everybody has a different perception on how they learn. And therefore, if you have these different ways implemented into the way that you are teaching, it will be easier for your students to learn. And this is not to say that you are spoon-feeding the students information or that you are mollycoddling them in any way. It is to say that your students have a certain way that works best for them to learn, and this is your way of reaching out and trying to make sure that each one of these different ways are reached when you are teaching the lessons. And so, the other thing that Elliot Eisner is famous for is his help towards what I would like to call the war on fine arts. Because in many of our public schools today, there is being budget cuts, what with our economy being the way that it is. And usually the first things to go are the visual arts students and the music students and the theatrical students. They're professors. They immediately, the first things to be taken away. And this is really a tragic occurrence because Professor Eisner believes, and I agree, that arts truly do make students more disciplined. It makes them better prepared to handle the life outside because they know how to do things in more than one way, which is part of why his learning methods entail looking at things from a different perspective. And nothing will let you do that like art because it's different than just sitting there and learning things from paper. You have your instrument or your paintbrush, or you have your, expressive forms of theater and things of that like that can have a better effect on the way that you handle things in the outside world, because not everything is a pencil and a piece of paper. And so the way that Elliot Eisner's studies affect our modern education system is that some of our teaching techniques are the way that they are because of him. I mean, you've probably experienced being in a class where a teacher had you do group work or a project or have you stand up out of your desk in any way. Any kind of nonverbal lessons that your teacher presents to you is something that he really believed in, and so you've witnessed the impact of his studies on curriculum in your education. Another thing is that most students, when they reach a certain age and get into middle school, are required to take a fine arts class of one kind or another, and that's something that Professor Eisner really pushed for because it allows the students to explore the abilities that fine arts will give to you once you've studied them, and it allows them to become more disciplined. And that way, the more students that we have that are disciplined in one of the fine arts, then the better our future students will be, and when they go out looking for careers and jobs in the real world. And for me personally, being an art student myself, this means a lot to me that he's willing to not just have a teacher sit me down and lecture me through all of what needs to be told. I know that I learn easier when I can see things. I can see videos and I can see, visual aids, and I can see physical examples of how what I'm learning affects my life. And that's really important to me, just like my fine arts are important to me. I don't think that they should be the first thing to be cut out of schools, because being a music student has allowed me to explore ways of disciplining myself that I would not have otherwise. It's something very unique to fine arts and to those students. They have a really good sense of discipline that people are going to be looking for when they go to hire you for a real job. And I feel like that's really important. Everybody wants a musician because they're so, good at pacing themselves to practice and things of that nature. And they definitely should not be the first things to go if a school needs to perform a budget cut, because they will enhance the lives of the students in ways that we don't know how to do. And that's what I learned in this research project about Elliot W. Eisner. Thank you.